Okay.
All right.
Right.
Oh,
So good.
Linda,
Yep.
I apologize. I had a computer crash, and I just have to set another couple of things up. I need like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. So
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. So, do you want to start with, we'll start with Terry?
That would, if Terry's okay with that, that works for me.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, Terry, great. Okay, Peter, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let me just, on the screen, did I hit record? Yes, okay, so today we're talking about the overview of assistive technology and home modification resources. One of our wonderful family members have requested this topic for us to go over, even though it's not, I will discuss a little bit about how self-direction plays into this, but most of the resources we're sharing are outside of the self-directed budget. However, as people in self-direction are using, looking at independent living options, for future planning or even just what they're doing currently, it's a good resource information to know how other funding streams can be utilized to help support assistive technology and home modifications. So we have some experts with us today. We have Peter Pitaressi. He's the Director of Trade and TechWorks, so he'll talk about what those terms stand for. And he's from ADAPT Network. And also from ADAPT Network, Terry Huang, who's the Director of the Doorways to Independence. And of course, myself. And then our session roadmap is, we're going to switch it up. So Terry's going to start. She's going to talk about the ADAPT Network's Doorway to Independence program, which includes home modifications and repairs, funding resources for those two areas. She had also sent to me a lot of great information that I will share with the group after today's session. And then Peter Pitaressi is going to talk about TechWorks. ADAPT Networks has the regional trade contract, and he has a lot of cool resources to share that TechWorks provides, and he's going to share that. And then I'm going to end with the overview of OPWDD. OPWDD has a waiver for environmental modifications and assistive technology. That is, I'll go through the process for that. And then lastly, I'm going to touch upon how to utilize, after all these resources, you've gone through all the resources, if you still are not able to secure funding for something that is necessary for an individual to have, for technology for independence or health and safety, I'll talk a little bit about the self-directed budget and how to use the OTPS goods and services line. Okay, so that's the roadmap of our session today. And so we're going to start with Terry. Terry, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Stop share. Okay, let's see if you're able to share your screen. And Terry, just so you know, I know we had talked prior to today, but just so you know, on the meeting today, we have a variety of participants. We have some individuals with disabilities who we are the fiscal intermediary for. We have some family members, and we have some support brokers. And in case you're not familiar, in self-direction, the support broker often helps the person to develop that person-centered plan, and then is more of the technical expert on the use of self-direction. So it is good for the support brokers to also understand these resources, as they might be able to help ensure that the person is getting the services they need. So, okay, Terry, go ahead and take over.
Hi, my name is Terry. I work at ADAPT Community Network, and I'm the Director of Doorways to Independence, and it is a home modification and repairs program. Oops, sorry, too fast. So this is me and my email address and my phone number. And our mission is to empower people through innovative solutions, one person at a time. And so Doorways to Independence program, we provide home modification services for people with disabilities, the elderly, and the medically frail. Our funding covers the cost of modification that improves the physical access and safety within the home. So you can be a homeowner or a co-op owner or even a condo owner or a renter to receive all this assistance. And these are some samples. The type of modification that we do.
1 month.
What happened? Okay. The type of modification that we cover
Doctor's office, please hold.
is a ramp, widening of the doorways. We provide stair glides in the interior of the house or the exterior. We do accessible bathroom, which means it's a roll-in shower or a walk-in shower or a walk-in tub based on maybe a need for, maybe a personal need for certain disabilities. We do help out with the adaptive equipments. We provide grab bars, railings, safety fences for a person who likes to visit the community on his own. And we do alert systems for a person who may be hard of hearing. So we can provide the blinking lights in case there's a fire or of that sort. We can do also a vertical platform lifts, which looks like an elevator, but not as pretty. The next slide would be, all right. So home modification funding source, we have two funding sources. First one is access to home, regular, and access to home Medicaid. And this one is actually from the New York State Division of Homes and Community Renewal. It is for people with low-income families and facing accessibility issues. The other funding sources, of course, is OPWDD. We have a family supports and services contract, and we provide services for individuals with a developmental disability, and they have to be living at home. Okay, who is eligible? Let me start with Access to Home Grant. We provide services in all the 5 boroughs. You could be living alone or with a family. You can be a homeowner or a renter. But you must have a physical disability or a difficulty with activities of daily living due to aging. The total household income, this is an income-based grant that we do, and the total household income cannot exceed 80% of area median income. The funds that they are given to us to use is up to $25,000. The other grant that we have is through OPWDD, through Family Supports and Services. And this one, we only provide services for Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island. And you have to be living with the family. Homeowners or renters are qualified, and you must be diagnosed with developmental disability and be approved through OPWDD. There is no income requirement, and the funds allocation, they differ based on the borough. Okay, so with home modification, we provide any kind of application assistance. After the application is fully received, I would send out someone to do a home assessment, and he is an accessibility consultant, and he will determine what type of things are needed and if what you're requesting is something that we're able to do. Once that is established, he will come up with a scope of work, and he will basically let me know what needs to be done and what steps need to be taken. after I received the scope of work, then I would ask two vendors or contractors to give me estimates on the project that the family feels that is the most needed at this time. And my job is actually I verify the license, make sure they have a New York City license, they have the liability insurance. And then once we find the right contractor, also we find the lowest, the cheapest estimate. And I would set up a contract and consent and release for the owner. And then I would monitor all the project that is being done. Now, this is an adaptive equipment, which is a gate walker. Normally, when in an adaptive equipment, we would be able to assist once you have a Medicaid denial for adaptive equipment. Excuse me. This is a sample of a ceiling mounted lift. So this equipment that is on the ceiling with the ceiling track would help this person go from one area to another. I believe this is connected to his living room, to his kitchen, and to the bedroom. So since he's not able to go on his own, he can use this ceiling lift and go to all the areas that he needs to go to. This is a sample of an outdoor stair lift. And this is an example of a rolling shower. Let's see, the grab bars are here. And this is an ADA thing where there's nothing under here. And the person who is in a wheelchair would be able to roll into the bathroom and then maybe transfer into a shower chair and then just roll in and take a shower. Okay. So we provide all services, which we didn't talk about. If you don't have my number, you can always connect to Project Connect, and this is the phone number or the email address, and they will always connect you to me. And that's it. And we're not taking any questions or anything, are we, Linda? Until
Sure.
later?
Yeah, I mean, we could save time, but no, that if anybody has questions, I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay.
But if you have questions, you can unmute and ask Terry specifically.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, maybe I missed the point. Hi, I just want to ask you, in this case, the person for whom you provide this service, he is not an owner of house, apartment or something, but he is like renting space. Like, for example, if my son renting space from me, can we do this improvement or not?
Is that an ISS subsidy?
Linda, can you know my situation? I try to understand.
Okay.
If I
So
say like
if
in a private
right.
house, I own house, and my son is renting space in my house, but it's a one-family house. He's renting, I don't know, room or something.
You're still living in the same household, Terry? Would that so the question is, they're in the same home, and oftentimes family members, according to Social Security, they'll be renting a room within the home. For your program, how do you define a household, I guess would be the question.
Absolutely, Linda, thank you so much.
So if he is living alone, paying rent on that room, it would be considered a renter. So he would not be qualifying for OPWDD because my assumption would be he's not living with his family. He's renting alone.
Yeah, so there's a gray area. So, okay, so the two things that I see that Terry talked about was, and maybe you could bring back up that slide of the two programs. We had the side-by-side eligibility.
So we can use the grants, access to home grant, which you are able to live alone, and he is a renter in your home. So we can use that money from access to home grant.
But not for the family support, because if you're saying on one hand, even though he is living under the same roof, but you're certifying that he's living in his own home to meet the household criteria, he would not qualify for family support. Right. And also, just as another point about that, for folks that are in self-direction, in the budget tab under direct provider purchase services, for individuals that are living with family members, they can qualify for family support services. You just have to have the broker allocate some funds in that budget category, because when the family support liaison gets this information from Terry, they're going to look in the system and see, oh, this person has self-direction, so they're going to want to make sure that that budget is indicating funds for the family support program. And again, if the person is having a housing subsidy, they're not eligible for the family support grant program. So they might be eligible for the one on the left, just not the one on the right.
Right. And also, if the person is receiving Social Security benefits, that would confirm as a income in a sense, even though it's not real income, but it's considered income, and I can calculate that into the application.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so so Nellie, you just said, so again, so for your scenario, if you were looking for some sort of modification, he could qualify for the left because you're renting a room to him. So, and that particular program that Terry's talking about is not funded through OPWDD, so that does not have to be indicated in the self-direction budget.
Yes. This I understand, but you just mentioned, and I'm afraid that I will forget after lecture, which part of the budget it might be. I'm not planning to do it now. I'm just looking in general. Can you ask Faye to write it down for us?
Yes.
This is just for future, just for educational purpose. Let's
okay, sure. Way. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Гена, но я не могу, но...
Okay. The other thing, Terry, could you just talk about the repairs and what that might look like?
Repairs might be a stair lift that after a few years it does need some repairs, and that's when that could be covered under OPWDD, and basically we would ask the vendor to come out to investigate, and then we would pay for that. But it does involve the applications. It would involve an application and calling me, and I would follow up, basically.
Okay, great. So like I said, I am going to be forwarding the information that Terry shared with me, which includes all of the application paperwork. So I think the best thing to do, if you're not sure if something that you'd like would fit into this program, would be to reach out to her. And you can request that information. Okay, so Peter, how are things going on your end? You need more time? Did he leave? Let's see. I see him there. Okay, Peter, I don't know if you can hear us, but I'll just continue. I'll go through the portion on the OPWDD modification.
Hello?
Okay, there you go. We hear you.
Sorry, I had myself muted.
All right, Terry, you want to stop sharing and then Peter can jump in.
All right, let me just figure out what I'm doing here. Oh, I should do this. Stop share. I see it. Okay.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, so Peter is also from ADAPT Network. He's from a different division, the TechWorks Trade Program. So Peter, take it away.
Hi, how's everybody doing? So Terry covered ADAPT and who we are and what we do, so I won't go over that with you guys. But my name is Peter Pitaressi, and I am the director of TechWorks, which is what ADAPT has branded the Trade Center. Hold on, let's see. Let's talk about, might as well get right into it. Oh, hold on 1 second. Because now the mouse, when I unmuted myself, I got out of my presentation. There we go. Okay.
We don't see your screen yet. Just so you know.
I am, there we go. So there we go. We're good. So let me.
We don't see your screen.
Oh, you don't
No.
see? What do you see?
We can hear you.
You don't see me? Is the video muted? Oh, sorry. The video is. There we go. Oh, hold on, but that is not it. Always computer difficulties. Just give me 2 seconds here. I tripped over the power cord. I unplugged everything before. I had to get everything back up and running again. 2 seconds here. OBS tools. Let me start my virtual camera. There we go.
Okay.
How is that?
Now we see it.
Now we see it. Excellent. Sorry about that. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that. So as I said, I'm from TechWorks, and TechWorks is a regional trade center. Basically, the Assistive Technology Act started back in the early 90s, was the federal act was created, and it was determined that the states would be funded individually through the act, and each state could determine how they put their program together by along with following the federal regulations. So every state has an Assistive Technology Act, but I can really only talk about New York because I know how we put this together in New York. So in New York is split into 12, the whole state is split into 12 regions, and each region has a regional trade center. What TRADE stands for is Technology-Related Assistance for Individuals with Disabilities. And basically, this provides us funding to provide free public services to anybody in New York City, to children, adults of any age, any disability. We also do, that funding enables us to work with the individuals and the service providers and everything like that. We basically get funded money to go out and buy what the latest items in assistive technology are, covering a wide range of categories. And what in reality we are a lending library. We are a lending library that is available to anybody. We work directly with families. We work with therapists and service providers from one end to the other. We have a partnership with the New York State Department of Health. We have a partnership with Early Intervention, where we work with them, and we have devices on hand ready to supply, the needs in the EI community for evaluation purposes or until they get their device or piece of equipment in. We also have a partnership with Access VR, which is basically the part about transitioning individuals into higher education or into the workforce and providing them the supports that they need to do that. So it's a wide variety of things. I'll explain a little bit more about who we are and how we operate a little bit towards the end. Let's see here. So what is assistive technology? Because it's you guys might know what it is, you might not. It's kind of a confusing term. Basically, assistive technology is anything that enables an individual with disabilities to do a task that they might not be able to do otherwise. So it could be any item or piece of equipment, whether it's something specifically made to help somebody with a disability or an off-the-shelf item that might just assist somebody, to something that's built in-house or modified. And basically just giving somebody something to be able to maintain or improve their daily functions and do all the things that we all do every day that we take for granted. And so it's basically what we do is split into, there's assistive technology devices that we have to lend out of our lending library. And then we also provide assistive technology services. We work with, help finding items, recommending them, working with therapists to work through complications with setting up a device or what's the proper way to implement something. We provide those support services too. So it's not just a lending library itself. So when it comes to assistive technology, there's a bunch of main categories that everybody commonly uses to split the items that we have up and, put them into categories. We have items from one end to the other. We deal with items for vision and hearing. We have speech and communications. We have communications devices from low-level single switch communication devices up to something like an iPad with Proloquo to go on it, to Dynavoxes and things like that. Daily living, the things for daily living that people need every day. We have a variety of things that can help with that. I'm gonna pull out our Obi right here. This is a Obi. It is a feeding device that we recently got, and he's waking up right now. So something like this is a device to create independence and allow somebody to feed themselves. It works with 2 switches. So one switch, so it's just 2 buttons, and it could be a regular switch or modified, or we could work with somebody to come up with other switches and triggers and things like that. But basically, just by hitting one switch, you could select which bowl you want to feed from the 4 bowls that are here, and you hit the other switch, and it will go through the process of scooping up that food and cleaning the back of the spoon and bringing it all the way up to the mouth position that can be set through the system. So something like this, we have devices that fall under the daily living category. We deal with mobility, seating, and positioning a lot. We have a lot of things in that area: walkers, wheelchairs, activity chairs, gait trainers, and things like that are available for loan. We do computer access. We have a variety of items for computer access. I'll show you some of those pictures later. And my favorite and everybody else's favorite is sports, recreation, and leisure. We have things that, everybody likes to have fun, and, we take that for granted, but we have items to assist in that area, from like a wheelchair mounted garden sprayer, so somebody who doesn't have the ability to help with the gardening activity now can, because it can be attached to the side of their wheelchair, and they can just push a button and it would help them water plants or something like that. And, all different things from cookbooks that are color-coded with measuring cups and microwave recipes and things like that. Really easy stuff in that area. So as I said, under vision, here's a couple of things from the various categories. So low vision, we have various things like handheld magnifiers, stand magnifiers, even for distance, binoculars and things like that. We have, trying to think, we have so many things under every category. It's a little hard. Like Terry mentioned before, there's things for people who have hard of hearing. We have things that will help provide visual clues or bed shakers. So there's a device that if somebody's knocking on the front door, ringing the doorbell, or your phone rings, it would create a flashing cue, or like a little vibrator under their pillow, so it would wake somebody up when their alarm clock goes off, and things like that. I said the activities of daily living when I was talking about the OB before, but we deal with, eating, dressing, grooming. We have a wide variety of utensil evaluation kits to find the right piece for somebody. We have things like this over here. This is a Liftware spoon. Let's hope that the battery is still working right now. Oh, it is. So this is a spoon that it has a whole bunch of electronics in it, and it knows that it's level. So no matter what position somebody turns their hand in, through either rotating or turning their hands like this, it keeps the bowl of the spoon level. So somebody who would have trouble feeding themselves with an item like this, no matter what position their arm comes in when they're going from the bowl up to their mouth, the spoon figures it out and keeps it so things don't spill. I got a bunch of beans in the bowl right now. I'm moving my hand around and nothing's falling out. That's one of my favorites too, under that category. And we have items for grooming and, you know, as I said before, cooking and things that'll help you people shop and do stuff like that. When it comes to augmentative and alternative communication, as I said, we have communication devices from something low-level single switch device to something like Proloquo running on an iPad. So turns an iPad into a fully functioning device, and somebody can use this as a communication device.
I want to go to
places, school.
I want to go to school.
So low level to high level devices. When it comes to stuff like that, we can do loans and demos. We work with the therapy team and the people to help match the device to the individual. We have all levels of stuff. And, you know, we even do things internally, like we have a 3D printer that we print key guards. So for devices, if somebody has hand use issues and have problems isolating buttons and things like that, we've even been able to custom print 3D key guards that can go right over the device and help with stuff like that too. Trying to squeeze as much information in here as quickly as I can because I know I don't want to take up too much time. As I said, sports, recreation, and leisure. We have a whole assorted things that assist with that. Electronic dice rollers, where you could put the dice from a game in it and attach a switch and hit a button so somebody can play a game. You could switch the dice out with whatever game you're playing so somebody can participate in an activity like that. To something like a card holder. Like this is a card holder. We actually 3D printed this from our 3D printer. Let me switch over to that for a second, and I'll give you a little demo of what's going on there. So we have a 3D printer here in TechWorks that allows us to customize things like that key guard or like this card holder right here. And we're able to customize things, produce items when it comes to 3D printing. Assistive aids, like this is a handle that you can fit on top of a bottle that will assist you opening like a soda bottle or something like that. We have, let me switch back to just me on the camera. Assorted various hand grips for like universal design for being able to hold on to a pencil. We can adjust the size of the grip to the person specifically, or something like this, which is a finger grip that you can put on the side. We actually have rings so we can size somebody's finger and figure out what this right size grip is to put on. So we do a lot of 3D printing and customization of items for different things and different people, which is pretty cool and a lot of fun to play around with it. Boop. And my PowerPoint went away. There it is. So we also have a wide variety of adapted toys from, as I said, things that are activated, toys that are activated by motion or sound. We have custom-made multi-sensory toys for people. And we also have a lot of switch-adapted toys too. So there's toys that have been modified to work with a switch. For instance, something like this little guy right here. It's like one of those little jumping dogs. Which switch is it? So this actually has been modified so a single switch can be plugged into it and somebody can participate and play just without having to, you know, hands on themselves with the turning it on and everything like that. They can operate it from a single switch. So there's items like that that we buy that are off the shelf. We have things called battery interrupters that you could take standard toys and kind of wedge it in there in between the battery and modify things yourself for a single switch. And then there's also the various devices that we have that are made specifically for their purpose when it comes to things like that. Adapted books. We have a wide variety of adapted books that we've been doing this for a very long time. So we have a large catalog of things. We have handmade books that we've worked with teachers and specifically to cover topics that they want, and then they're modified. We can add picture symbols into books like that. We use different things like page fluffers to separate the pages so it makes it easier to turn the page, to sequential messaging devices that can be used for somebody to participate in a conversation about the book, to even we have a device that you can slide any storybook in there and actually record each page by yourself and put the tabs on it. It knows when you turn the page and it would actually read the book back to somebody. So you can make a custom, you know, electronic book for anybody out there. So that covers a lot of things. Let's just look around my TechWorks Center a little bit. We are located, the main center that I'm in right now is at Lawrence Avenue in Brooklyn, but we service all of New York City. We have a satellite center up in the Upper West Side of Manhattan on 80 West End, but we also have a van and we deliver and pick up and participate in the community because we're obligated to work with all of New York City. So this is our main center, and we have a display set up around our main center. So this is our section about computer access. We have big button, big trackballs, modified things like that, foot switches, various joystick and mice control. So somebody can try out a variety of devices. You can see there's probably 15 different input devices there for a computer, and we can try out each one and find what the right one is for an individual. Universal design, things like, you know, modified pens with grips and off-the-shelf items like that. Before I said recreation, sports, and leisure. So you could see we have things like large print Scrabble, big bingo games, large print cards and holders and things that let people have fun and participate in that stuff too. Under ADL, I was talking before about, you know, our custom cookbooks that match up with those measuring cups and spoons, things to help people, utensils, cleaning items, and things like that to do things around the kitchen. Environmental adaptations, things like remote controlled switches or switches that can be activated from a device. We also work a lot with in-house with Amazon, with the Alexa, with creating programs and routines and triggering, turning on and off lights and how to control televisions from that. Because we've actually found that Alexa is really good at understanding synthesized voice. So somebody who has a communications device can set up a page with a whole bunch of commands and trigger actions in their home just by talking to Alexa. So we do a lot of stuff like that. As the vision, we have some things for vision, help dots to help identify buttons on a microwave or something like that, magnifying devices. We have some Braille books, some picture, textured picture books for kids and Braille and things like that, magnifiers. For communications, it doesn't come up as much anymore, but we still get a lot of, you know, we get requests for, you know, accessible telephones, large button things, large button that you could put somebody's picture under and they would just have to pick up the phone and push the button as opposed to dialing the number, and other items like that. I mentioned the Alexa before. So as I said, wide variety of items, and I didn't really cover a lot of the seating and positioning. We have a CODA on staff who works with the families, individuals, and their medical team to provide loaner devices. We have, as I said, wheelchairs, gait trainers, activity chairs for the young ones, everything from early intervention all the way to the geriatric population. I'm going to talk about share for a second. Share is sort of like a subset of trade. ADAPT has share centers. Share stands for Samuel Hausman Activities, Resource and Education Center, one of the original benefactors of the program. And what share is ADAPT's own lending library for the younger, early intervention and preschool age. So there's, books and videos or a lot of resources like that, adapted toys, switches, and those low early communication devices that we have. We have share locations in every borough. I think they're working on Queens right now. Right now we have a center in Staten Island, Manhattan, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. It's the same sort of thing. Teachers, therapists, families can come in and get some of the resources that we have there. I covered where those are. And so now back to trade. We've got all these devices. We're a lending library. How does this work? What do we do? Well, we do demonstrations. So you can come in and ask to see any device that we have. Give us a call. We can work something out, and you can come and see. We can help you find the item that fits what you're looking for. Once we have an item and we match it with a person, we let that item go out on a 60-day loan. So the purpose of the 60-day loan is for an evaluation purpose, so you can find out if that is the right device for you. Some of these things are expensive. You get funding through, your various resources, and they're only going to buy you, one item. And if you get it and you find out that, oh, this isn't really the right thing, this doesn't really work for my child, or whoever, you're kind of stuck with it. So that's what we're about. It's about coming in and seeing what there is, trying out what in that category, and trying to match you with all the various things in that device. So with those devices. And once we do that 60-day loan. We do open-ended loans and reutilization with a lot of devices. As I said, our loans are for evaluation purposes, and if an item isn't made any longer, you can't really evaluate it to purchase it because the manufacturer doesn't make it anymore. But that doesn't mean that that particular piece isn't usable anymore. So items like that turn into open-end. We can do open-ended loans with those and let them go out longer than the 60-day period for somebody who needs something like that. And we also do trainings. We cover a wide variety of AT topics. I have various people in my department on my staff who deal with different things. As I said, I have Mercedes Mendoza is our CODA, and she has been working in this program for as long as I know. And she knows everything there is about seating and positioning and can help fit a device to an individual or make suggestions on what other things that we have that, if maybe we don't have that, but we have something else that might be appropriate for you. So yeah, we do the training. We do public awareness. We attend events all over New York City. Hopefully there'll be some sometime soon, but it looks like all of this is going virtual, but we do tabling events. We go to things like Access New York and the various council meetings when they hold their annual events and things. And we talk about everything that what our program has to offer. And we also do information and assistance. So where you can find something, what are the best practices for using something, what other resources, maybe we have a suggestion on modifying something and making your own piece of assistive technology to solve a problem. So we do stuff like that too. Our main centers, as I said before, are located here in Lawrence Avenue, Brooklyn, and in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. And we also have a TechWorks to Go van, which is our fully stocked van. We can come out to the community. We can come out to your organization or anywhere and do a presentation on a specific topic pertaining to assistive technology. We could bring a wide variety of stuff with us and show it off. So, you know, we can work with you. Everybody doesn't have to come here. We can go somewhere else and do sort of a demonstration like that too. So again, TechWorks and Share, you can contact us in advance to, if you want to get in touch with us, and you could schedule a visit. Is kind of an old PowerPoint. We would do things over the phone now or try to work something else out due to the current conditions. So if you want to get in touch with TechWorks, you can email us at techworks@adaptcommunitynetwork.org, and or you can call the number, which I'll give you at the end. And that's it for TechWorks. Getting assistance. So here's the contact information. I'll leave that up for a couple of seconds. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at techworks@adaptcommunitynetwork.org, or you can call us at 718-436-7979, extension 711. Email is preferred, especially now. Not everybody's here manning the phone. We're rotating through staff in the location and trying to keep contact minimal here. So somebody's not always next to the phone to answer it. But your email, if you email, will be routed to the right person in my department who can assist you with whatever your request or need is. And I'm sure there's going to be questions.
All right, Peter, thank you. One of the things that, just to reinforce, you know, this is he gave us a lot of great information, and you can use the lending library to try things out. We did talk a little bit about the home modification process, and Peter talked about the lending library. I'm going to just quickly go through so funding sources now. And again, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We will save a little bit of time at the end for some open dialogue, although we're approaching 1 o'clock, so we might have to go over a bit. All right, so Peter, if you wouldn't mind stop sharing, and then I'll go ahead and pull up.
There you go.
Okay, great. All right, so now I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about was funding for OPWDD. So as Terry mentioned, there are other funding resources. So DHCR gives ADAPT a contract for home modifications and repairs, which covers not only people with disabilities, but also covers individuals. I'm sorry, let me just check this out. Okay, also covers senior citizens and a wide variety of people that might have needs for modifications. So what I'm talking about here is OPWDD's Home and Community-Based Waiver, Adaptive Device, Vehicle Modification, and Environmental Modification process. Now, this is the way to secure funding for individuals with that are OPWDD eligible. That's outside of the self-direction budget. So this kind of funding, you know, as mentioned in the title, would be utilized for adaptive devices. So as Peter mentioned, let's say that somebody has a need for a communication device, and they're an adult. So again, if a person is, you know, of school age, they would be recommended to go through the Department of Education process for communication devices, things of that nature. But let's say this is an adult and their needs have changed, and now they're looking for a communication device. You know, first step we would recommend is to work with a speech and language therapist. You know, working with a therapist that can really evaluate the individual's needs would be important. Definitely reaching out to Peter to maybe test some of the devices. As he mentioned, some of those devices are extremely expensive, so you want to make sure you get it right. And then once the team, meaning the therapist team, maybe Peter's team, the individual, the family, their circle of support, you know, once that the team feels that they have the right device that's going to really make a difference for the person to be able to communicate, again, I'm just using that communication device as an example, then you would work with the care manager to start the process that I'm showing on the screen. So you would, and I'm going to share this information as well, but the scope of work is going to need to be completed. So there's a bunch of information here. So you're going to indicate what the type of device is, a justification for why that device is necessary, and including as much detail as possible. Then the person's notice of decision. Again, this is all the paperwork that's needed, the level of care, life plan or addendum to the life plan that specifically indicates the need and outcome that will be met by this device. For things that require modification, so as again, back to what Terry talked about, if somebody needs a lift, that can be funded through here or through Terry's program. So for somebody who's OPWDD eligible, you might want to look through this process because it is specifically for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So if there is going to need to be a lift modification for a home, there's going to need to be a property owner consent form signed. And then there is a form that is included here where OPWDD is the funder of last resort. So there needs to be a certification that all other funding resources have been looked at. So again, if it's a school-age child, you want to look through the Department of Education for funding first. If it's something that, we don't always know who funds what. So let's say it's something as simple as a grab bar that might be funded with a person's Medicaid card just by going to a surgical supply. If it's something more extensive that's not covered through Medicaid, we're going to want to see a denial for that item, that it's not covered through a person's straight Medicaid card. And then that's where the waiver would come in as a funder of last resort. For things that might help a person with their ability to work, modifications or adaptive equipment needed to help a person to work, Access VR is the state voc rehab agency. So we'd want people to be utilizing those resources first and get denials from there in order to proceed with this funding. So all of the documents here, it's completed by the care manager, put together and submitted to OPWDD, and then a provider gets selected to be sort of the fiscal go-between, and we can do this as well. Our Center for Family Support Agency is set up to process EMODs. And as Terry mentioned in her presentation, we do similar things where we would put the request out for bids to 3 different vendors. We also have a requirement to look at minority and women-owned business first. Before any others, we have a requirement to make sure we're looking at a most competitively priced bid. And but OPWDD ultimately makes the decisions, and then once it's approved, we would go ahead and pay that vendor certain percentages depending upon the amount of work. Okay, so this is also, as mentioned in the title here, it's also for vehicle modifications. So for people who need accessible vans to be modified, it doesn't cover the cost of the vehicle itself, but it covers the cost of the modification, which can be quite expensive. So this is OPWDD's modification process. So again, care manager would initiate this. I'm going to share this with you. So if you have a care manager that's never heard of this before, you can feel free to forward this on as an advocate and make sure that they follow through and reach out to me if you need any assistance. So you've got some funding resources. You've got Terry's program for modifications and repairs. You've got OPWDD's adaptive device vehicle modification and EMOD. You have Peter's program, which you can have the ability to test a bunch of different options that far exceed this. So it might even be things that, which I know many people in self-direction, just independent living, like he gave that example about the use of Alexa in a home. So this is important. And then finally, the very last for folks that are in self-direction, the very last funding source that you'd want to look into would be through person's budget. OTPS has a line, if you can see my screen here, for goods and services for independence and health and safety. So it's a very broad category, very limited funds that are available. But for things that might be like an Alexa device, which might be something that costs $30, you know, you could use the OTPS line. And for those of you that are familiar, we have a justification form where you're going to just make sure that the certain areas are covered. So is it related to a person's outcome? Is it related to independence and or health and safety, and how the device will help to do that? And are there any other funding sources that you know, that's not funded through any other source, and what was pursued and what was the result? Okay, so I know it's a lot of information. So I'm going to stop sharing, and if it's 1 o'clock, if we want to just take some time for anybody who'd like to unmute and ask questions, feel free.
I just wanted to say that I put the link to the TechWorks flyer in the chat. It's available in both English and Spanish, so if anybody wants to take a look at that, they can. And please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues or anybody who you know who might not know about us or need us. And I just want to say very quickly again, we are free public service available to anybody in New York City, whether it's a temporary resident or permanent or even somebody come visiting. We've helped out with individuals coming visiting New York City for a holiday and needing a piece of equipment, or if you even had a relative coming and needed to borrow a piece of equipment for you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas or something like that, just for a couple of weeks, you need to borrow a ramp or a transport chair or a shower chair or something like that. We do it all from one end to the other.
Okay, great. Nellie, did you want to ask a question? You just have to unmute, okay, if you want. Anybody else have any other questions? Again, I know it was a lot of information, but I think the whole point, and I know many of you using self-direction do so because of the opportunity to be individualized and creative. So I think this is just pointing you to some very creative ways to use technology or ways to adapt a home that can help meet a person's needs. Okay, Nellie, I can hear you now.
Linda, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for presentation. It's just a little bit new stuff what is giving opportunity to think of. And Linda, I just want to tell you, as I always tell it, but it's not the last thing. Every time the topic what you give us for parent training or this kind of meeting is giving us what to think of. Maybe we don't need it now, or maybe we are not eligible for criteria, but it's giving something what to think of about and what it might be helpful. Maybe not now. I know the rules are changing, situation changing. We never lived in COVID-19, we never lived in this and that circumstances, but it's giving us opportunity to learn something new. And if we will do it individually, look or Google or this, we will spend tons of time. And you are giving us very specific stuff. And what is positive is that you, Faye, Jennifer, you know our specific situation. So then you are giving like now, when I ask some particular question, you've been able to shift to the right direction. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, Nellie,
it maybe
thank
not
you.
specific
Yes.
about what you're told now, but in
Yes.
general, thank you, all of
yes.
your team.
No
Thank
problem. Yeah, and I think to Nellie's point, and this is something, you know, again, it's a lot of information. Some of it might not apply, but as you know, your child, your son or daughter, as they grow, there might be certain needs that they have that can be replaced. So instead of having a person, a staff person there, maybe technology can be utilized to help them to be more independent, to be healthy and safe, to live more independently. So I think, like Nellie said, it's food for thought, and what can we do, and what resources are out there, and what funding is available to help support those needs. I would also, just as a reminder, you know, utilize the therapists, the speech therapists, the OTs are fabulous. If you have a good OT, can do evaluations for independent living. You know, what are ways that a person, what are some technology resources that a person can use to be more independent in a variety of ways in their life. So that's a starting point. And as always, utilize us here at CFS. If, you know, we can help you know, troubleshoot you and Adapt has some wonderful resources that Peter and Terry shared with us today. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. All right. Well, so I'm going to share this recording. You know, if you want to follow up, I'm also going to send reminders out. December 4th is our next meeting. We're going to be talking about EVV. And for those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving in this new way, safe way, I want to just wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. And to Peter and Terry, thank you so much for sharing your pearls of wisdom with us today.
Thank you. Everybody
Okay.
have a good Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you. You too.
The same to you. The same to you.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes.